The Dogs are back, coming with a big game
Oh
against
yeah,
Clemson, a potential playoff indication, well, maybe playoff preview, perhaps a big test for
awesome.
the Dogs. So it's been a long off season, a weird COVID year, and man, I'm ready for football. How about you?
I've been waiting on this weekend for the longest time. Like, when I when we were kind of getting set up, like I was just kind of thinking about it. It's like, how long have I been looking forward to kick off? Just the season the way it was last year. The way it ended was good, but it wasn't overall how we wanted. But to get a chance to make a statement week one, you can't ask for a better opener at all. So
No, you can't. I mean, I'm glad we're playing this one, and it's a little bit of we got a lot of history with Clemson too, so
we
it's like
do, we do.
bringing back rivalry vibes, like kind of getting the 1980s folk out of their shell, talking about remember when, remember this. So I'm excited for it. What implications wise, meaning wise, what does this game mean for Georgia to, like, in your mind? Like what big test of the season, like where is it going?
Well, being that it's a top five matchup to begin the season, it's always going to have the hype. It's always going to have, the magnitude of a true battle to open college football essentially. But for
Yeah.
us, again, Kirby said it several times, and I think it rings true. People come to UGA, people go to Alabama, people go to Clemson for games like this.
Yeah.
These are where the five stars want to go to school to play in games like this. National stage, game day, neutral site. It doesn't get any better. Scouts love it. Everyone is going to be tuned into this game. Labor Day weekend just adds to the excitement. It's going to be awesome. A lot of
Hey, if you
implications for both teams.
exactly, if you party too hard, you got that extra day. If you
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're a
yeah.
little sad because your team lost, you got that extra day.
Yeah. You
Called
can
better help.
lick your wounds a little bit. It's all good. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? So
When you said that, it's like, yeah, like people they go for these games, like they'll go to these schools for these games. I was like, well, actually, even the students, even the professors, even the
yes,
custodial staff, they all go to these schools for these
everybody
games.
pulling up, man. Everybody pulling up. Like no
The
doubt
Uber
about that.
drivers, hello.
Yeah, yeah. Like the game's on. Be quiet back there. Game's on.
Exactly.
Game's on.
Big
But
stuff, man.
uh,
Exactly.
but again, Clemson and UGA, are both in I call it retooling. These are programs that do not rebuild at this point. The way they've recruited
Yeah.
over the last few years, it's rebuilding. Now, Clemson more so than us because we had to go through a little bit of a transition period, especially from the quarterback standpoint last year. We didn't get
Mm-hmm.
JT Daniels until halfway through the season, and our offense, boom, started jumping. Now, DJ Ukulele is what the pronunciation I'm sticking with. He played for Trevor sparingly last year, and
Mm-hmm.
he did pretty well in his sample. But they still have a young defense. They're getting some wide receivers back from injuries, so this is going to be a tentative retool for both teams to see where they're at. But
For sure.
I really do like the Dogs. We got a lot of seniors coming back, super seniors even. So the more film
Yeah.
I watch, the more happy I am about it.
If you compared like this Clemson team compared to last year's, I'll definitely take this year's any day, like for sure.
You'll
They
take this. You'll take this year's.
For sure. I mean, maybe they'll end up being better. They might even put out more like NFL players, but you got to there are some phenom quarterbacks that, come through in their sophomore season, and
All the
DJ,
time. All the
yeah,
time.
and DJU, he looks like one of those phenom guys, but I'll take it. I'll take a sophomore quarterback versus what we got JT Daniels. I'll take some missing pieces on their offensive line. I'll take their best receivers coming back for injuries. They do have a lot of question marks, so it's
Yeah.
not that Georgia. We obviously do too with injuries, especially in regard to that. But I'll definitely take it on paper as a fan and a neutral site.
Yeah.
Not like in Clemson's backyard or something,
Right.
but
Right.
Carolina.
Right.
So I'm digging it, man. I feel like we have what we need on paper, just from a very distant, without going into the details, look at things. I feel good about that, and I feel like whether whoever wins is going to be better for playing this game going into their conference season. This will probably be could be the hardest game Clemson faces all year, period. And maybe the same for us, but our SEC schedule, who knows, like what teams matchup wise will give us the most amount of trouble. And you almost got to think we're going to play Bama or maybe Texas A&M if we make it to the SEC championship. So I like it for a test. I like it for a big time marquee matchup for recruiting. And honestly, one of the things I'm most excited about is having the opportunity to kind of cement our place with the elite teams. We get another opportunity at that, and it's a team that's not called Alabama that we're facing. So if I don't have like the wins there, and
there's no mental block like we seem to have at Alabama. So
both teams coming in fresh. So I like that especially, and I would be really happy for Kirby because I think on his resume he's due for a win like this, and something I've been thinking about and kind of looking at comparing, because a lot of people give Kirby a hard time, but I think it's all about relative perspective. And if you look at if they'll compare him to the best of the best, as they should, which is a compliment in itself. I mean, anytime anyone's comparing you to the best, that's but so he doesn't quite measure up on his coaching resume. But if you look at who they're comparing him to, the pundits, national media, Nick Saban didn't win. Kirby's 45 years old, so I looked into this a little bit. Nick Saban didn't win a national championship at LSU until he was in his 50s.
Yeah, it took a minute. It took a minute.
So it just maturity as a coach, understanding that, and then you look at what Dabo was able to do with Clemson. He was at least 7, 8, 9. He had been at Clemson for a hot minute before he really took that next step, and we're already above the step they had been at for a while when they Clemson back when that was a thing. So just for his legacy moving forward, I think it would really put him on par with some of these other coaches, just having some elite wins. And I'm excited for that. I hope that that's what we're getting able to talk about, because I think Kirby deserves it. And I think it's a little bit – so I think some of the criticisms are fair, but I think a lot of it's a little premature because he's so young. He really is young. And, Georgia has for dependent of him, their program has looked good, and they definitely have had what has taken to take that next step. But to be able to actually if you're putting it on Kirby's shoulder, I give him a little bit of slack, and I'm like, okay, this is if you compare it to the other guys, if you make that step that we're wanting them to take in the next 2 years, then he's ahead of schedule, and he's actually doing it quicker than those guys. So that for me is because I'm running this through my head, so I feel good about that, and I'm hoping that we can see that come Saturday.
Yeah, and Kirby's the type, just to continue that, Kirby's the type to he doesn't really want a whole lot of praise. He might deserve it, but he's more the type I'm just gonna go earn it. And again, the stuff he said in the offseason, we're just gonna work. We're gonna break through. He is very confident that we're right where we need to be, even ahead of schedule, and it's gonna come through here soon. And what I see on the field, the product I'm looking at as far as UGA, I think we're right on schedule. Now, like you said, considering the Clemson rivalry, a lot of people forget that this is a rivalry because they're in the ACC now and we don't play them as much. But just going back to 2013, 2014 with Todd Gurley, Nick Chubb, they had I believe Deshaun Watson in those years, Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins. Both of these programs have put some real talent in the league since then, and those matchups were amazing. I mean, next to 2013 LSU and Georgia game, those Clemson games were some of my favorites. Even in that one that we lost, it was a home and home, so one in Athens, one in South Carolina. But great games. Now, coming into this week, a lot of the same thing. The defensive line for Clemson is nothing short of elite. They bring back their super senior and their linebacker, Slasky, I believe his name is. And then they're doing a little bit of shuffling at the offensive line. Yeah. I mean, if we get lucky, maybe he gets ejected for tackling with the crown of his helmet again. He can't seem to get past that. I've never understood.
He's just one of those CTE guys.
He's one of those. So he better be careful because
he plays like I used
to. He's not playing. So
yeah.
And then on top of that, you got DJ coming in. So DJ, he could be I mean, he could throw for 4 touchdowns and 300 yards, no problem. So like, I'm not thinking that he's going to struggle, but he is going to be running for his life. And we'll get into that a little bit more as we break down the Clemson offense versus D, UGA defense versus their O, or if I said that backwards, either way. A couple things I wanted to hit on before we really break this down are the injuries. Like you said, their wide receivers, 3 of them, Nagata, what's their main guy who's coming back from the spinal injury?
Justin Ross,
All-American, and then a couple of the other wide receivers are coming back from some injuries, so they're working on that. We are going to be missing, unfortunately, it looks like Arik Gilbert, which they've really been kind of hush on that situation, which I understand, respect his privacy, but it doesn't look like we're going to get him for that game. Tyke Smith and Darnell Washington are a little bit more of a concern for me, more so Tyke, because I really wanted him to be there in the defensive backfield just because he's a ball player. But Latavius Brini looks like he's going to be able to step right in, as if he was already sounding like he was really competing for that spot to begin with. So
and has senior leadership, played pretty solid in the Cincinnati game.
Right.
It's not ideal, but at the same time, like if you look at how things have shaken out in the past, where we've had a lot of inexperience. I mean, he's got inexperience in like big moments, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
But he's well prepared. Kirby's been probably keyed into that, getting him ready to go, because
Kirby
Clemson
prepares everybody.
Clemson they're going to target him. They're going to target their guy Kendrick or whatever. So it's going to the transfer. So I would look for them to kind of try to hit our weaknesses. But, yeah, like you said, I think we have the front 7 to get after DJU, and I think that having that is important. And, a guy of his stature, you want to get him on the ground as much as possible, because, you don't want him getting too brave and trying to run for 200 yards against us, which he has the skill set to do. So I feel okay. And, it's crazy. We got Pickens, Darnell Washington,
5 stars,
and Arik Gilbert. 3 guys that are first round picks.
Easy first rounds. Easy.
Yeah. That's crazy. But I never ever has. For one, we've never had 3 first round receivers on Georgia's roster.
No.
Ever.
No.
But the fact that we do, and we have the depth that we have, because we have guys that would be. We got 4 guys that would easily have been the number 2 receiver the last 4 or 5 years for Georgia.
Yeah.
So we have the depth, and I'm looking at people like Brock Bowers, the guy from like your neck of the woods, McConkey.
Yeah.
People like that, who are like number 5 and 6, like step up. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out. Yeah.
And with you kind of opened with it. As far as the implications for each team of this game, please make no mistake about this. I want to win this game. I want to win this game in the worst way. So people stop, because like you get on message boards and it's like, yeah, UGA, haven't had a title since 1980. True. Struggles in big games. Also true. But a lot of times our biggest games are against the best team in the country, who is also in our conference in Bama. But so again, make no mistake that I want to win this game. But if we lose this game, let me pose one of my questions to you, Keegan, in this sense. Would you rather beat Clemson? I mean, just like drum them in the season opener, and then both teams make the college football playoff and we lose by 1 later in the season? Or would you rather squeak by in the first game and then, just get hung out to dry in the playoffs? So like, when you look at it from that perspective, this game is important, as big as it is. It's not.
This is a trick question.
You want to win now?
I would rather lose than win later.
Right.
And I'd rather win later, no matter what. You know what I mean? No matter if win or lose this.
Right. And the scenario could be we win in the opener and in the playoffs. So like, regardless, this game is not going to define our season. It'll help if we do lose in the SEC championship. Granted, we get there, but it's not a make or break situation for us at all.
I think it's more important for us to get that mulligan game if we can win against Clemson. If we do slip up against a Florida or Alabama or
Which we've been
whoever,
known to do. Which we've been known to do.
which we've been, which we,
Let's
which
be
we've been known to
honest,
do.
bro. Yeah.
So having that feather in our cap, that's where I'm looking at. Like, we need this game more than Clemson, because who do they play? UNC looks like they're going to be pretty stout. They got a great, QB. Maybe they'll move the ball on them, but
that's it.
That doesn't even sound right coming out of my mouth, but that's what people are saying. So
Exactly.
it's like, that's what we got to look forward to.
Exactly.
So I feel like this game means a lot more to setting the tone for us. But yeah, I mean, it's still kind of it's a non-conference game, and it's against a great opponent. So if we play it close, I think we'll get points even for that. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's kind of where I'm looking at it. So do you think this is the hardest team that Georgia will play this season?
Yeah, I mean, I know it is. Just given now, it might not be. Games kind of work in different ways, so it may not be the hardest game, but this is the most talented team for sure. And that goes to that article that I showed you, which, just to give perspective, I want people to understand how scary this UGA team is. If you haven't taken a second to look over the roster, what we're bringing back, the pieces that we've added through the transfer portal, this is a very scary team. Now, last year UGA was there's this website that does the composites of all the 5 stars, all the 4 stars that you have, right? Last year UGA was actually the number 1 talented team in the nation, believe it or not. But for us, that our main talent wasn't at the QB position. So we struggled when we needed that at Alabama, at Florida. 2 great teams last season. We struggled, but across the roster, we were still the number 1 ranked team talent-wise. Now this year we're number 2, behind only Alabama. And to give you perspective, the scale is like, to be a good team, you're around 800, right? 900 and plus, that's a good team. Only 2 teams in the history of this ranking has ever broke the 1,000 benchmark. And that is us this year and Alabama this year. And that's Alabama at 1,004.04 and UJ at 1,001.65. Alabama has 14 5-stars and 61 4-stars on the roster.
Jesus.
And UGA has 19 5-stars and 47 4-stars. Just to give you these teams are there's no way around elite. Clemson's up there too, but even though they're elite, we're like and then some. And now we got it at the QB position with JT Daniels. It's time. Let me just be very clear. Like, it is time for UGA to make some noise. Like, if we're not doing it now, it's going to be another couple years before we get a roster like this, defensive wise, seniority wise. It's going to be a while. So,
yeah, I think we're stacked. I was looking at our the biggest question, wide receiver room. Aaron. Did you see Aaron Murray's comments recently talking about this
with the CBS crew?
Yeah, he was kind of saying like he doesn't expect Georgia to air it out. He was watching scrimmages and he's like, oh, they look stale. They don't have the
I did not catch that.
Aaron Murray. This is so Aaron Murray came out and said that, and he said that he does not believe that Georgia has the personnel at wide receiver to do what we want to do given our injuries.
What's he watching?
He said he was watching scrimmages. He said he was like showing up at practice. Maybe he was seeing things that we weren't.
Okay.
But I mean, always taking into account the defense is a lot more familiar with those kind of like situations. But I don't believe that. I don't think we can use that as an excuse because we do have the depth. And I'm looking at I'm saying at A.D. Mitchell, James Cook, and Jermaine Burton, maybe even Arian Smith, at least 3 of the 4, I would say.
Arian Smith and Rosemead Saint, bro.
Oh, yeah. We have so much talent. I would just say at least 3 of those guys, 3 are probably going to be on an NFL roster one day.
I guarantee it.
Sundays. So to say that we don't have the depth, I mean, we might not have the experience or the proven depth, but I think we have, guys that can play with the ball who are going to like make the difference. Like I don't see us using that as an excuse. Now it'd be great.
Fast.
I don't know if if Fitzpatrick, I know he was having some injury issues. I think he's playing right.
Yeah, he's probably going to start. If not him, Brock Bowers. I mean, we're good at tight end. Like, in
Yeah,
all
and
honesty, we're sure.
he's an all around beast. So I feel like we have plenty of options, and we have a stable running backs. Like that might be true
Yeah.
for a lot of teams,
Yeah.
but we have some of the best receiving running backs in the nation. Like even Zeus, like there's not one guy who's playing running back right now who's not at least like semi dual threat compared to other years. So
Yeah, we're stacked.
We're good there. But that's what he's saying. That was him throwing doubt on it. He said he said it's going to be run, a cloud of dust, third down, and this is Aaron Murray saying that. I'm like, man, I think I just want to believe that he's too close to it. Like he's like, sometimes you can know too much,
Yeah. Or he's putting on a face, dude. Because I mean, I just don't like for somebody who's trusted with an opinion about UGA. Like, I'll give him that. He's earned that, especially with his job. I'm sure that's why they bring him on. But
yeah,
how can you say that? Like, if you just look at the numbers, just the numbers, when JT Daniel took over, our offense averaged, I think, 100 plus more yards in the passing game and about 10 more points from that very moment. And now with a good offseason, with more experienced weapons, with the addition of the 5 stars that we had, and mind you, Clemson gives up explosive plays a lot, especially for a middle to elite defense. They do have breakdowns in the secondary. In the run game, there's going to be, I expect fully Todd Monken to be like, take that shot, bro. Take that.
Yeah, I don't think Slotsky's Deli would start if he was playing for Georgia, to be honest. I don't think he would even start for us. I think he's like
I don't think so.
A really solid player, but I think he's like Nate McBride or something. A special teams guy.
People who get buried in our depth chart at linebacker here, because you got to be smart like he is and next level athletic, which I don't think he is as much.
Clemson, one thing I like about Clemson, just being around them a little bit, is they have a lot of character guys, a lot of locker room guys, a lot of good dudes of all different backgrounds that make the team, that are kind of, helping bring that Clemson tradition, that the family feel. They have a lot of that going on, but it's kind of like Mr. Nice Guys, and I feel like, in the words of PJ Tucker, we dogs.
Yeah, we trying to eat, bro. We trying to eat for real.
We're trying to eat. So I don't know how that'll play out, and I agree with you. They're a little like susceptible, a little vulnerable to some big plays, and we got the talent to do it. And I totally disagree with what Aaron Murray was postulating, but that's something to note looking into this game. I mean, I definitely respect his. I know he can probably read defenses better than I can. Probably knows more about the sport than me. So I respect that, but also I'm looking at it like, you can't tell me, for one, okay, yeah, we don't got Pickens, but who was statistically, Kyrus Jackson last year was right there with Pickens. Like if you look at how the statistics played out, they're about the same reception, same amount of yards. Pickens is obviously a game.
They do it in different ways. One being outside the slot, but the production was undeniable.
He's a generational talent, Pickens, but like Kyrus Jackson's a solid, familiar guy that JT Daniels likes going to. In the spring game, we saw AD Mitchell get a lot of catches, so he likes. JT's got guys he likes. Jermaine Burton almost broke a school record when he played. So I don't really buy into. I don't feel like this is Jake Fromm a couple of years ago when he had people fall off.
This is not that, dude.
Yeah, I think it puts a lot more pressure on that group. But I think if we can get the ball out to some backs and really just play balanced, and against Ohio State, Clemson could not stop their run game, and I believe that we have more depth at the running back position and as good of an offensive line as Ohio State did, even though they're a little unproven in cohesion. I think that Clemson should be worried. Like, they have some stars. I'm most as a fan. I'm most concerned about DJU just going off. He might just be one of these guys that you can game plan all you want, scheme it all you want, execute the best you can, and he's one of these guys I think that can do things with his feet. He's got a cannon of an arm. He's like a beast, but at the same time, he is a sophomore. They have all kinds of question marks, pieces around him. He can't play the whole Georgia defense by himself. So I feel overall just really good, as good as you can feel going into a game like this. And I got to just kind of give a thumbs down to what Aaron Murray was saying, talking about how we we don't have the personnel.
Yeah, and let's stay with that theme, because I think that goes right into, you know, what we want to focus on.
Yeah.
Aaron's opinion aside, okay, so now let's look at it from a success standpoint from UGA. What will UGA's offense, what part of the offense will need to be effective to be successful versus Clemson's defense, or what part do you think that we can exploit? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit.
I mean, it might seem kind of simple, but I think I don't think it's talent. I think we can execute. I think it's just going to come down to play call. I think we got to keep them on their heels and use a good balance of the play action pass, you know, run in creative ways. You know, just keep Clemson guessing. You know, it's hard when teams are this good that, you know, either team could really execute and beat the other. I don't think talent's concerned on either side. So I think we just got to really be outsmarting them and be able to exploit some of the mismatches, throw it in the middle of the field, go for Slotsky's Deli. Like, you know, just I think it's play calling. I mean, I think if we can run the ball like Ohio State did, then obviously that opens things up. And we finally got a quarterback that can make those passes. So as far as execution, I would say a lot is on the wide receivers. I remember, as good as Jermaine Burton is, there's been a few games where he's dropped several passes, and it's like, dude, you're our guy right now. We can't
gotta have you, yeah.
Can't do this to us. So it's like, I feel like that's from execution that, but as far as just the game in general, I think it's really just going to come down to play calling. I know Clemson likes to play. They like to lose. They open it up. They like to play trick plays. I've seen them down in games where things were looking tight, and you think, okay, they're going to like play it safe. No, they'll flea flicker, reverse, this, that, and the third. So I think it's going to come down to us being able to do that too and play loose and, you know, mix it up. What are your thoughts on that?
What I'm looking for UGA's offense versus Clemson's defense, I'll take it just a little bit different direction than you did, because Brett Venables is one of my favorite defensive coordinators in the game today. He's very smart. He puts his players in a position. Yeah, he puts his players in a position to succeed, a lot like Kirby. But while his defensive line is elite, and you're going to see a lot of those guys on Sundays, the linebackers in secondary are less so from what I've seen. So I think they're going to dial up some pressure when they can. What I want to see from Todd Monken is using our running backs in the pass game. A lot of people underrate that type of offense, because instead of handing the ball off so your running back can run between the tackles or off tackle, it's the same thing. It's just like a run. When you throw it out in the flats, you put pressure on the linebackers to always pay attention. And then the explosive plays, I think we'll attack them vertically. I think our tight ends will get open behind the linebackers, and that's going to slow down their defensive line and really kind of neutralize the talent that they have there.
Yeah.
Now, our offensive line is legit. I think it's going to take time for them to gel. This is not the game you want to start gelling, you know, with offensive line. So there are going to be some missteps, probably a couple sacks. But if we can protect JT Daniels and he gets the ball out on time early, I think we're going to be successful. Now, I want to flip that on its head. What can UGA's defense do? Breaking in a new secondary for the most part to contain DJU and, again, the All-Americans and the talented wide receiver core that Clemson has.
Well, I think just having an array of blitz packages, always, you know, having someone coming at him that he's not expecting, you know, throwing Nakobe Dean in there, throwing some corner blitzes, any kind of stunts we can do on the defensive line, just keeping him on his heels, man. He's too big of a guy to give him time. He's got great feet. And when plays break down, he's the kind of guy that will make you pay for that. So
big time.
I think we got to hit him early and just be able to play sound defense and, you know, contain. It's just kind of keeping him out of getting a really good rhythm, because he's not played a defense as good as Georgia's. He's not played a defense as fast as Georgia's, and as good as Clemson's front seven is, and they are like us, them, and Bama, but I take us any day. I like Jordan Davis. I like who we have on the end. They got some, you know, KJ Henry is a star in the making.
They got Brian Brees Brian Brees.
He looks like the video game version of David Pollock when you edit him.
Yeah, he's,
you know what I mean? He's a monster. So, and I love his gameplay. He's just a ballsy player. I appreciate both those guys. But looking at it like that, I think we just got to keep DJU on his heels and just kind of, not let him get comfortable. Don't give him a ton of time. Don't let him play his game. We're gonna have to force him to make those the big plays.
Make decisions. Really make him make decisions. I agree with that.
Exactly. What are you gonna say?
Oh, sorry. I was gonna add on, but if you're not finished, finish that.
No. Go ahead.
So again, to add on with Clemson, I'll probably take their front four barely right now in front of ours, but front seven, I like ours a lot. And I just wanted to run through just some of the talent because I picked up one of these while I was doing some Labor Day shopping. I picked up one of these dog guides, right? And it really kind of gave me a little bit more insight. Like we do this, but this guide really kind of took it next level. So on defense, we really do want to keep DJ on his toes. In the small sample size that he had when he played for Trevor last season, he had 5 touchdowns, about 900 yards passing, but 4 rushing touchdowns. So it's going to be crucial that we keep him in the pocket, but make him scramble, make him make mistakes, and it's going to be a long day for him. And he's going to have to deal with that front seven that I talked about outside of Tyke Smith and Kendrick at linebacker, Nakobe Dean. I mean, number one at his position coming out. Roquan. I said he was like a Roquan from day one, and I think that's going to hold true, especially this season. Quay Walker, Channing Tindall, other inside linebackers, seniors.
Beast.
Quality guys, and the only reason they're not absolute starters is because of the talent we have on our defense. Nolan Smith, number one player when he came out, like Clemson's Brian Brees. Overall. So, and he's looking for a breakout season. He hasn't lived up to his expectations. Look for it. Adam Anderson, another 5-star on the other side. These guys are going to make DJU run around all day long. Robert Beal, another backup linebacker. And then let's go to this D-line. If people don't think that our D-line's capable, Jalen Carter is a sophomore, but this kid is you remember when Tebow had that section on SEC Network or whatever, like his freak of the week? This guy is a freak of the month and a quarter of the year and biannual and whatever. This dude's nasty, bro. Trayvon Walker, another excellent player. And then you've got Jordan Davis, All-American, and then 2 seniors, which Georgia fans should be very familiar with, and Devontae Wyatt and Julian Rochester. So, I mean, dude, from top to bottom, it's depth,
ridiculous,
it's talent, it's speed. And then you got freshmen and other sophomores behind that. I'm not even going to go down the line, but we have the capability to make this a very disturbing game for Clemson fans. Have we fallen off? We've got that capability. So while I don't expect us to blow them out, we can. We can. I think it's going to be more of an exciting game, close finish, but this could get out of hand. A few plays can make this game get out of hand for Clemson. I'm telling you right now.
If you had to put your money on it, would you bank on a defensive game?
Yes.
A barn burner or a shootout?
I'd probably lean a little bit more defensive. So high 20s, low 30s, because our defense is going to be sick, but there's going to be the busted play occasionally, the scramble, the goal line, the field goals. There's going to be some offense, but it's going to be a lot of defensive plays here. A lot of defensive plays in this game. Big time.
Absolutely. That's kind of where I'm going with it too. I got a feeling, man, we're going to see a lot of these players take that next step. So I'm about to have to use the bathroom so bad. So
okay.
I'm dancing over here, bro. I'm like, is he ready for the game? Or I'm like, hey.
My bad, bro. We want to be concise, but let's hit some score predictions and then you go handle your business.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go clean. I'm gonna go clean 35. I'm gonna go 35 Georgia, 28 Clemson. I know there's going to be field goals in there, but I'm going to go 35-28, dogs on top. Start the season off right.
I like that. Okay. 38. I'm going to go 41, dude. I'm going to go, or 30 said 35-28. I'm going to go 41-31, win by 10. Double-digit victory.
I love it. Dog Nation.
Strong, baby.
Again, this is going to be a great game. Either way, it's not the end of the season, but we want this dub. Everybody have a safe Labor Day weekend. And thank you guys for joining us for another episode. You know what it is.
Absolutely. Off the leash.
Leash.
Peace, bro.